Excellent, excellent. So welcome to our second town hall meeting of the semester. It's nice to see all the Parliament reps and our two visitors. Oh wait, we have three visitors. Anyway, so we're gonna start. Travis is gonna say hi. He wanted to say hi anyway. Hi. Told you.
Hello, everyone. I gotta fix my shirt. What's going on with my shirt? Oh, my pocket. I like my collar in my pocket. I like my shirt in my pocket, basically.
Okay. All right. Enough.
Thank you for everyone for coming.
I think you look wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for everyone for coming. And that's it. I don't know what else we're gonna talk about. Basically,
We're gonna chit chat.
since there's like no really students here other than Parliament are affiliated with Parliament. So
Really fun.
you have fun with this.
All right. So we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about in a few minutes. But I was going to ask Dr. Penfield to give an announcement, but he's kind of.
Mozzarella sticks are good. That's his
Mozzarella sticks are good. So, all right. So I guess we can start, and then we'll let him finish, and then he'll come back in. So, what do you guys want to talk about this meeting? I mean, I can shout out some ideas and some things that you might want to talk about, but what do you guys want to talk about? Hi, Matt Boyd Wilson. How you doing? Let me see. No? Wow. Yes. Water cooling.
Yes, Rhode Island campus has gone dry. There's a lack of water.
We're not talking about water coolers at this meeting.
I don't see why not.
There's now a tap in Donovan. Like, I don't know. We're talking about water coolers.
I kind of feel like a water cooler like randomly fitted would actually be really good.
Where? Like, we don't need one. All right. All right. So how about we'll talk about yes.
Okay, so I was looking at the student census, which
Student
is
census.
an internal document that we use, the faculty use to kind of monitor the student population. There's administered to freshmen and seniors mostly. And apparently 30% of students know what SCG is, but about 70% of people don't really have a clue, any clue at all whatsoever about what goes on. So I was thinking that maybe that, considering that we're supposed to represent students, it might be worth like looking into that. Is there something that we could be doing to more actively communicate to students what we're representing, what we're doing?
I mean, I mean, there are definite ways that we could be doing that. I mean, I would say that the public relations committee is sitting basically empty, so it's hard to do it as like, you know, a one-man show. But yes.
Well, in the 1980s,
Back when you started.
we used to produce a document that we hand out to every single freshman at their orientation, to be done in the summer. So that every student, at least at the onset, will be told about student government, vocation on campus. At that time, it was actually a hardcover Parliament booklet that they would all be given with a message from the new president of student government, a list of Parliament members at the start of the year, contact information, where the office is located, what it does, and also a list of all the clubs and organizations on campus. I mean, obviously, that was the 80s, that was before the internet, and if a student really wanted to, they could go online and search for these things. But maybe we need to get away from students who want to go online and search for these things. Maybe we need to, rethink the way we do PR, and maybe we even need to look back in some cases and bring back a booklet or something like that to hand out, some sort of physical thing they can flip through and say, oh, I was involved in my student council in high school, here's what they have at break. And then maybe we'll reach out to those few extra people that we need that we don't have now to fill up the remainder of the seats. We get 50 seats in Parliament, there's only about 30 filled. It's been that way for years.
Speaker.
As a psychology major, I know that one of the best ways to raise mind share of something like an organization like SCG is through repetitive exposure. So maybe SCG could look at twice a semester having the dean of students, since he has the capacity to blast email the entire active student body, give a roundup of things that student community government has done up until that point, maybe halfway through the semester or something. And then if every student's seeing that, maybe they're not picking up the anchor or listening to WXIN, but they should be checking their official college mode of communication.
That would be correct. I mean, something that I am working on is getting a brochure. We haven't had a brochure in years, so that is something I'm working on this year. So if we get it done fast, huh?
And the website.
And
You're working on the website as
too.
well.
But the brochure is something that I'm working on. So hopefully, if it's done for the end of the, if it should be done by the end of the semester, so we can have that, and maybe we can have it passed out at freshman orientation, so that would be a good way to start, besides Aaron Buckley's idea, which all these ideas that just come from.
What's it gonna say in the brochure?
Basically, it's just going to say about, it'll be about us, like what we do, different committees that we have, and basically like what we're about, what we fund, our general kind of purpose. So I don't know, I know you're done eating, so I don't know if you had any announcements that you wanted to give to Parliament,
Well,
I guess,
you know,
and our guests.
Announcement is the one that I've made several times through the year, I guess, and that is to tell whoever is here who's not been at the regular meetings that the state of Rhode Island has now blessed the contractor for the recreation center project. And I hesitate to say this because we've been talking about this for so long, but we do expect that probably by mid-April we will have gotten the shovel in the ground, as they say, to get that project going forward. And I think most of you that have been involved in this, of course, understand this is an exciting project for the college. I told Don Tencher, the director of athletics, that we have to sit down with the contractor right away and talk about the timeline, because everybody wants to get it done quickly, but as I've been quoted in the Anchor, I don't want to get it done quickly if we're going to sacrifice the quality of the project in any way at all. And so we want to sort those pieces out and give the contractor proper direction so that we can ensure that when we finish the project that we in fact have minimized the number of problems that we're going to be left with. Anytime you're doing a $12 to $13 million project, there's the potential for things that you can't possibly foresee ending up coming back to bite you later on. And you try to, as you work through the time sequence, you try to minimize how many of those issues come up, and you try to minimize them by having the contractor held responsible. And when you move quickly, sometimes you do it in a way that relieves the contractor from their responsibility. And so we'll be working very hard in the next few months to try to make sure we get started on the right foot, and that we really work hard at every construction meeting to keep the project going forward. Having said that, I do have a secondary question for the body, because I know that this also has been talked about in student government, and Aaron has presented on this. It has to do with the new transfer into the new email system that the college has in place. I'm just curious, how many of you have followed the instructions so that all of your emails have migrated over to your system? Did I say it the right way, Aaron? Have migrated over, is that the right word? Over to your system, because we know from what we've heard and some of our own research that students, of course, pay no attention to college emails at all, but that is sort of the official form of communication from the college. And so my question, I guess, since not too many of you nodded yes, we've done that, is does anybody have any suggestions on how students can be persuaded as to the importance of setting themselves up so they at least have a chance at getting proper communications? I'm not looking at you, Aaron, because
Well, I might want to add something to that. Your emails are being sent to your old address before spring break, your username at rick.edu, they've been automatically forwarded since spring break to your new email address. But I think what you were initially talking about is making sure your old emails you had stored were carried over. Okay, sorry, I got a little confused there. Yeah.
well, all of you are probably more proficient on all of that technology than I am. But the bottom line is we somehow want to work together to get the word out to people that, listen, don't just sort of ignore certain things, because if you miss things and then you try to follow up later on and say, well, you never told me, the bottom line is we're going to say, yeah, we told you, but and it's too bad that you're in this fix now, but there's not probably something that we can do to help you out of the fix. So that's one of the issues, is how do we convey that message and get everybody to say, okay, it won't take that much time, but I'll at least make a commitment to try to scan things before I X them out.
I don't know. I don't go to orientation, so I don't know how much it's stressed at orientation, making it like, kind of like a do or die type sort of situation with them. Like you have to check your work email because we're not going to really, there's not a lot of other ways to find out information. So I think starting with the freshmen, it might be the easiest because maybe the seniors won't necessarily, if they haven't been always checking, it would be kind of hard to start, but I don't know. Anybody else have any other thoughts on encouraging work email use?
I think maybe if you teach them to put out their phone, maybe you do it. I learned it myself and I'm regular email on the iPhone 7.
So
Don't we have the text message service? So couldn't we send out an alert through the text message? I think a lot more students would get it that way. They're forced to check your phone. Everybody does. So
Or maybe
that might work.
But something that they'll like. Well, I know like people on campus will look for like meals, like what's being offered that night for dinner or something. Like just something to give someone they're gonna wonder about.
like every day you get the dining center's menu or something in your email. That would be interesting.
Okay, cool.
Pardon? Yeah. So any other thoughts on Rick email use?
A little historical perspective on it.
Oh, okay.
1981 this time?
Actually, 2007,
Oh.
when I first elected president of the student unity government, he gave us our list of demands to the administration, of all things that we wanted to do, all of our goals, what we wanted to accomplish, and the administration in turn gave one thing back to us, and this was from, at the time, President John Azarian. He said, get students to check their email. So obviously it's been something that's been an ongoing problem. At the time, when we met as an executive council, we talked about it, we were trying to figure out a way. We didn't have a single thought or a single idea of what to do to get more students than currently do to do it other than, say, professors forcing students to do so by making them use their email first time and things like that. What's actually going to hurt that effort is Blackboard and other resources like that online, because now professors are sending you emails via Blackboard, not even using their email, so it's even circumventing it more than they used to. I think it's a problem that's going to be ongoing for years to come, and there's going to be no simple solution to it.
I think that one of the big issues when you guys are trying to deal with it is that no matter how much you advertise the old email system, some of the IT folks have tried to defend it to me. No, the old email really, really sucked. You're just not going to get far with a 25 megabyte up to 100 megabytes of space inbox. You're not going to get students to check that when as soon as they log in, they have 3 months into the semester filled their email quota and are no longer receiving messages. Now, you have a 10 gigabyte inbox, just like Gmail and all the other email services we now use. So now the infrastructure is in place. I think now would be a good time to really start communicating the real benefits we have now with this new email system. It's actually useful.
The new Rick email is a hip thing to do.
Be live on campus.
Start advertising. I could do that in the last few weeks of school.
Live at Rick, live through your email.
Excellent. All right. So I was like, I don't know where to go with that. So if anyone else have any other thoughts on email before we move on to anything else you guys want to talk about? I have a few. Yes?
I never used my work email, and I'm graduating tonight, and I'll tell you why. Something about the CAD /dash.
That's going.
Well, yeah, apparently, but like it's maybe that was a part.
It was a hassle to always sign
People
on.
are lazy nowadays. I have my Facebook, I have my Gmail, they're right there. It's mostly just like what you're used to. So maybe integrating it better with existing systems, like the forwarding was a nightmare in the old system. So I couldn't even get my Rick email forward to my normal email until maybe see me.
That's actually what is on the old, it took forever, but I managed to get my Rick email forwarded to my personal email. So potentially, if you were able to give, or maybe during orientation, they were able to show you how to forward your work email to your personal, because people check their personal email all the time.
Yeah.
You might be able to maybe not persuade them But if you can persuade them at least to just forward it, they're going to get the emails and they're going to accidentally stumble upon seeing things more often because it's going to be in the email that they check all the time anyway. So you can look at some kind of program involving that as well.
I don't know how hard it is to do that, and I also don't know how hard it is to set the email to your phone. So I feel like those are two things that I don't know how if the computer lab knows. I'm sure they know how to do the forwarding, but they could probably help out with the forwarding to your phone type thing. That would be they do know how to. I don't know if they know. Do they know how to do all the forwarding to the phone kind of stuff?
Yep, and by the end of the week, there should be a document up on the website under the Live at Rick little sub area that tells you all the settings for all your individual phones: iPhone, Android, Windows Phone, BlackBerry.
Any other thoughts on email before we kind of? Yes.
I'm kind of mad that they don't send it to like all your old emails. They don't have it automatically sent to the.
You can migrate them now, though.
Really?
That's what. Yeah,
That's
you
what-
got an
that's what
email
we
in your new. There's a new, in your new email. There's a email that says "Learn how to migrate your email," and it just asks you to like.
It takes about 15 seconds.
Yeah. So.
The word
Sorry. I think I was eating chicken.
There you go.
You do email, you get an email to you that talks about email.
Yeah, it's a lot of emailing going on.
Couple of these.
All right. Any other thoughts on that?
Jody, if you need help, call Aaron. He'll do it in 15 seconds.
Click, click. Yeah, it really didn't take that long, but my friend did it, and then all of a sudden she had 9,000 emails that came over from because she had them all like saved or deleted or whatever. It was really kind of funny. She was because I delete all mine, so it took me like 5 minutes. She sat there for like 2 hours. It was funny. All right. Any other thoughts on that before we go on to anything else you guys want to talk about? All right. Any other topics? Yes, Nicholas.
This one's something that we've talked about before. I know that we had talked about in the past about trying to figure out some way to get a 24-hour room available for students to work or do, whatever they have to do. And we had looked into the Reinhardt room, but that wasn't really a possibility, A, because of the cost of putting in a door, and B, because we wouldn't have access to restrooms and other things of that nature. And we had talked about the cafe at some point. Why does, I don't know if anybody here actually knows the answer to this, but it's kind of a two-part thing. One, I just want to know why the student union locks down the entire building every night, because there's so many people on campus that still have access to the student union anyway, whether they have an office up here, or they're on SG, or they have whatever, they can get into the building after hours. And B, why couldn't this room be left open? Because you can get wireless in here. There is access to bathrooms, and if we had to, we could lock the upstairs, I believe. So I guess I'm just saying, I know that PC has their library open till 2 o'clock, and if not that, they have a 24-hour room below the chapel. URI has a 24-hour room that they can utilize. And unless you're a resident on campus and you happen to decide to use your common area or a lounge, you don't really have much of an option after 10:30. Specifically if you have to do like group work or something. So I don't know, just something that I bring up again.
I don't know. I mean, it would be one thing to probably stress to maybe put in if the new student union ever gets up off the ground, to have a 24-hour room in the new student union for. Yeah, I think it would be something worth a while, but I'm not sure what the temporary fix would be. I mean, people have been trying for years, unfortunately. Yes.
If you think about it, the student union's open till about midnight now anyway, so it would be a matter of having an OA or some of responsibility here over that overnight shift. Maybe they can all take one night a week if they figure out the schedule and do that during the week. You could very well have a 24-hour building. And once word gets out about that, services like the cafe, where they might have a significant drop-off as far as food purchases after 9:30, so they close now at 10:30, maybe they could stay open to midnight. And then students would have an option other than having to order Big Tony's Pizza at midnight if they stay up late studying or stay up late doing whatever. And they could come to the cafe. Campus Life wouldn't just end at 10 o'clock, on Thursday night. That's why people go off campus. Keep more students here, maybe even on the weekends too. If there was a central location they could go to and socialize.
Well, I'm actually revisit what Mr. Bernardo said about a 24-hour room in the student union now. I'm not quite clear on why making the cafe a 24-hour room wouldn't work. The campus used to have the ability to lock the elevators, lock the doors that are attached to the stairways out of the side of the building. There are windows around the campus ways and bicycle patrols who would ride by every couple of hours and see, notice inside. Even if that room closed at like 2 or 3 a.m., in case 24 hours isn't enough. There's vending machines, there's the bathrooms there, which will be the concern in our room. And you could also put in a door, sorry, not a door, you could put in a swipe at the actual door right off the Murray Center, where
It is in there. There is in there.
well then active students can swipe it in that kind of console for potential change of building, lock computers down. Is there any particular reason that might not be a possibility?
I would guess for the overall conversation, Nick, that probably a significant piece of the deliberation would revolve around the expenses associated with doing it, because the bottom line is, because of liabilities, the college would have to staff the operation, and so you'd have to cover those costs. Using the library as an example, because last semester at the end, the library stayed open 24/7, and it's a joint venture between student community government and the college administration and the library. And they're going to do it again at the end of this semester, because there was good response and utilization for the first, I guess, 4 days of the exam period, and then it dropped dramatically on the final 3 days. But the numbers, I think, impressed everybody that looked at the numbers, and so they're going to do it again. Seems to me you can use sort of these kinds of trial balloons as a way to lift up the discussion to say, okay, now how can we make a case to expand this experiment into a broader experiment? And the fact that if we move forward with the renovation addition to the student union, that might well be the time to talk about, okay, how can we set it up in such a way that we can have some piece of this that would operate. Remember, Nick's probably the only one. Nick, were you here long enough to remember before the media center?
I was 04, that was 03, I think.
So the media center was already up, because you see, that used to be a snack bar and so on, but the issue was we had any manner of people in this building after hours, and including not any manner of people that were just students at the college. We had any manner of people that were not students at the college that were being led into this building. I mean, we discovered some vagrants living here, and so on. So when the decision was made to do the last renovation of the student union, we proposed for the media organizations that we create that space, because we needed extra space anyway. And the position was that space could then be open sort of 24/7. Is it open 24/7 now? And we had a certain kind of mechanism. You use the card key, which then was sort of new technology. And we got sued actually by the ACLU, who claimed we were invading students' privacy, because we would know whose card was being used to enter the building and all. But we made that decision to try to provide 24/7 access where it seemed to make sense to have 24/7 access. Well, we took that step. We're going to do another renovation. It's probably the right moment to try to articulate how beneficial this would be for students, but it is going to take money, because the college can simply not leave buildings open without having oversight of the buildings. Because these days, something happens, you're going to be sued. And we've got a bunch of lawsuits going on right now. They get resolved, but they happen.
Anybody have any other thoughts before we move on to some other issue? All right, anybody have any other issues? Yes, Barry.
I just wanted to ask that Penfield, because maybe we're all kind of a little curious. What's going on with the Salem University thing? The State University. That's
My understanding is, and you or Aaron may know even more than I know, my understanding is that in the end, it was, I don't know if the right word to say it was closed down or whatever, anyway, it was not a threat to Rhode Island College. In the end, I was not involved in that.
The Chinese
Other than trying to
we didn't raise
direct it to appropriate off-campus attorneys that have experience in that area. I'm so fluid for all that kind of stuff. One thing is so weak. When you stop one, the other are bound to issue complaints, and the state feels that they have to answer every single complaint before they can clear the project for you. So everything is slowed down, and that drives all of us sort of wacky because you gotta keep things moving forward.
Anyone else have any other thoughts? I didn't know if we, because we passed the resolution a week ago, if we wanted to talk a little bit about general education. I didn't know if that was something if we wanted to talk a little bit about, because I know we are encouraging them to change it. So I didn't know if anybody had any thoughts on things they'd like to see added or changed on general education. Yes, Aaron.
I honestly feel like it might be worthwhile to have some kind of requirement for not just a general additional math and science, but actual computer or technology requirement. Because in my political science 308 seminar, sophomore thing, people had to give PowerPoint presentations today, and it's a little rough when we all went through elementary, middle, and high school this generation, and we've been exposed to this, and nobody can do a basic PowerPoint.
I came to college and had never done a PowerPoint, so I never used one in high school. Oh, Nick had his hand up first, so I'll go back to you. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just kind of to answer that, I know all education majors have to take a technology competency exam in order to get into the school of ed.
Do you know what it entails?
You have to be able to do Excel, Word, I believe PowerPoint, and like email, general, online internet navigation stuff. So I don't remember exactly a couple years ago, but rather than instituting an entire course requirement, which could end up making people kind of angry, you could potentially just open up the
Require the tech
comp exam, as they make you take a math placement exam or any other exam to show
You're going to be done in that orientation period.
Right, exactly. So something along those lines could potentially be possible.
Do we have a student rep on the committee on general education?
I don't believe so, Mr. Lima.
On the main overall committee, so.
Just so,
Yeah, he had his hand up then you.
Okay.
Sorry.
I agree that technology is kind of, it's really important that people are able to piece together these things because, they'll go to college for things like math and science and English and film studies, but ultimately, a lot of us are going to be facing serious jobs where we're going to have to be expected to present. So I think maybe even adjusting the science and math to include technology instead of just intro to computers, because I took computer programming and that didn't count. And I'm a management major, so I had to take a whole year of computer information systems, which is like a whole class on Excel and a whole class with just clickers. After you guys are major majors in the room. But another thing that I was thinking is I know that most other colleges, this is literally most other colleges, that they have their College 101 course, all freshmen take it in their first semester. And since not all freshmen go to orientation because they don't care, and not all freshmen like participate in activities and things that maybe the Career Development Center or Oasis or Writing Center might put on that would like make them aware of the issues of plagiarism. I was on the College Board of Discipline for a long time, and we just had so many plagiarism cases all the time, and I was just surprised how many people just did not know what plagiarism was. And it's an opportunity that we could have a one credit class that just freshmen take in their first semester. It could really be taught by even just like graduate students or just graduates. I had the privilege of helping out teach one of those at Scott Kane one time. So it was a lot of fun, but I think it's an opportunity that like a lot of leaders on campus could even like rise up to help a faculty member and really give them all guidance, and just for one credit, which a lot of freshmen, like you want to take like 2 or 3 classes, like that could be the one that gets you to 12. So you can really like adjust to college life. It's just, what could be the hurt in doing that?
All right, Matt, then.
Yeah, just to say, if one of the, we're supposed to go to college, get an education, right? And hopefully that'll get you a job. Nowadays, if you can't use a computer, in the modern like economy, you can be destroyed. And it's an integral part of everything. If you're not technologically competent, like some of the people who are trying to get a PowerPoint in their like sophomore and junior years, it kind of throws a damper in the work. So from just the point of view of the philosophy of general education, the reason that we want to be well-rounded students, it makes an awful lot of sense to have a technology requirement in there. So that's something you guys should discuss. Probably quite important.
Yeah, going off of what Barry just said, I think the only really area of our college where we have a sort of program like you talked about, like College 100, is the athletic department. They make all their freshman athletes take that. It's a 1-hour class. It's right before study hall usually. It's like a 1-credit course, I think. So that'd be similar. So maybe expanding that to where every freshman has to take that. I think you're right. Maybe that would be beneficial. It'd cover all the basics, things like plagiarism, computer skills. Maybe that's where you get that technology requirement out of the way, where maybe that's part of the final exam or something like that for the course. So.
That's actually in the college strategic plan, is to move and try to institute a mandatory 101 program for all incoming freshmen.
I just know because I had to take it, so.
Good place to add the email requirement too. You have to do your email.
I mean, that might solve like 5 problems in one step. So that's
solving
something.
problems with College 101. All right. Shai, you had your no.
Okay.
Good. Anybody else have any thoughts on gen ed? All those cores that you have to take, and lab sciences and art, visual science, and yes, Barry.
This is just another like little nitpick on gen ed, but I think they need to make it abundantly clear when you're selecting your lab science which biology courses are for science majors and which biology courses are for the non-science majors, because they run 3 different sections of it. One's for nurses, one's for biology and chemistry majors, really intended for that, and then one's more of a gen ed type thing that elementary education majors may take. I think social work would have to take it. I don't know, they have to take everything. So like, I think that they need to really make it clear, because I know a lot of people who signed up for like biology 111 and are just then like overwhelmed by it, and they said, but it's called introductory bio, and the other ones have more complicated names. So that's something that they should really seriously look at, because it's a huge commitment to take that class, and just so many people fail it because if they're not scientists, we're not going here for science.
Any other thoughts on gen ed, Aaron?
One of the funny ironies, I guess, of our general education requirements, I don't even know how you would fix this per se, but I've put my core 4 off to the end of my gen ed requirements. I'll do it next semester and I'll be done. But it seems to me that like 6 or 7 or 10 classes in core 4 are all awesome sounding classes that I would want to take. And I have to complete course 1, 2, and 3 to take them, and then I only need 1. I don't really know the solution, but I wish there was a way that you could take more than 1 core 4 and have that apply with a greater weight to your degree or your general education requirements. I'm not sure how to fix that, but there are like 4 at least.
Gen Ed is also being reviewed, sort of as we speak. So you ought to funnel any suggestions in via email. Is there somebody in this room that's on that committee?
Academic affairs committee?
I think so.
Yeah,
or
that's why I was raising my hand to be like.
Any ideas that you have, like
We're
that,
writing
any
down.
suggestions, feed them.
We're writing down all of the stuff that you said, so we
Yeah,
can
send an email.
also,
The people in charge of that
at least I
read their
hope,
email.
Carlos, if you're not distraught.
So send an email and they'll receive it.
Yes, Barry.
Committee of General Education.
that. I was gonna say, just to like let you guys know, like majors do change. Like it's not something that like doesn't happen. Like right now, like the School of Management's in the process of trying to pretty much get rid of business writing because it's becoming obsolete. So like majors do change with time. Education changes with the times because you gotta keep up with society. So don't think that any suggestion is gonna be like too wacky or too wild just because maybe it's kind of like seems like modern and hip right now. But that's the way the world's going. It's gonna be around for a little while. So we should like make sure that as college students, if we expose ourselves to the stuff that's gonna get us ready for year one as soon as we graduate.
Well, since you offered me the opportunity to provide a wacky
Analogy?
no analogies,
Oh.
I'm going to talk about play.
Okay.
But I have always kind of thought that college and school isn't necessarily just supposed to prepare you for your job, but it's supposed to prepare you to be ready for life after you graduate. You know, in the entirety of it. And I don't necessarily know how this would be put together, but I think it would be beneficial, even if it was for freshmen in the form of some kind of college 101 course or whatever, or integrated into a math course or something. I know a lot of people that don't know how to balance a checkbook, how to use Quicken to track their personal finances, how to make a resume, how to interview correctly, and I know those are all services that are provided by like the Career Development Center or by certain events that are held on campus, but very, very rarely do people utilize those. And I understand that that's, you know, kind of a personal, you know, choice that they make, but I think it could be very beneficial to allow college students to not only to be technologically competent so that they can succeed in their jobs, but allow them to be able to leave college and not be like, shit, I don't know what I'm doing now. I need to get, you know, somewhere to live. I need to figure out how I'm going to get a job, not just hand in my transcript, my college diploma and say degree rather, and say, I don't know. I just think something along those lines could potentially be beneficial.
Yeah.
Maybe an example could be like instead of like with all your math gen eds, maybe an option could be instead of doing contemporary math, because if you go into college and you have to know math to some degree, you have to pass an SAT, you know, 3 years high school math hitting here. So like maybe if instead of like just having math 40, it should be like finance 143 or something like that, where it could be like applied math to like life, business, because our finance class here, I know folks would be like, I'd love to take a finance class before I graduate, but to take your intro to finance, you have to have a year of accounting, a year and a half of special business math, and like a year of economics. So that's like an awful lot of credits to waste just to have the privilege of taking the class that teaches you how to balance checkbooks and how stocks grow and investments and things. So just throwing it out there.
Any other thoughts on general education? All right. Anybody else have any other topics that they would like to discuss?
I'll make one more announcement, just occurred to me. Did any of you receive an email blast late this afternoon about, you know, the hole in the ground up by Craig Lee?
Mm-hmm.
That Sunday, we're gonna be without heat and hot water for about 15 hours while we do the fix on that. Did any of you get an email?
Yep.
So,
Sunday.
Sunday, it's gonna 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock Sunday morning until it's completed. They'll work straight through until Monday morning if they have to. But that's just it's a infrastructure problem that has to be fixed. And so I said you can't do it during a weekday because we got the residence halls full and we're serving 3 meals. So you're gonna have to do it on the weekend. Saturday is the big admissions yield party that some of you may even be involved with, where all of the new freshmen and their parents and grandparents and guests come to the college. And so we want to put up a good front for them. So Sunday morning it will start, and hopefully it'll be concluded by dusk Sunday night. Residence hall students or anybody else that need to take a hot shower can go over to the recreation center for people. And the dining center will be serving food that can be served under those conditions. So if you didn't see it anywhere else, you heard it from me. Pass it on to others.
Kind of as a follow-up to that, I know part of the recovery reinvestment tax money that we got, stimulus money, we're supposed to be conducting, basically a giant overhaul of the infrastructure on campus. Is all of this just emergency things that couldn't wait until that point?
Well, yeah, this is emergency, but you've already seen some of the arrow money that you're referring to being spent. It's not, I mean, we don't have enough money to do, 100% infrastructure. But the projects were identified quite a while ago, and we're at work with them. We were doing some work today trying to get information out of the federal government that if there is a federal government shutdown, what's the impact going to be on things like arrow money? Because arrow money has to be spent by a certain date, and we're already stretched out trying to get it done. And we can't get any information out of the federal government as to if there's a federal shutdown, what's going to get paid and what's not going to get paid. So that's a challenge for not just us, but for everybody across the country, I guess. But we were trying to sort things out so that we could plan. We can't get information to allow us to plan.
Any other questions or comments? Arthur from Donovan wanted me to make an announcement that for anybody who's been living on campus the past years, there will be no bulk sale at the end of this year. Just putting it out there. So,
What is,
there's no bulk sale. Like you can't go buy all the cases of water or
we have like 100 points.
They go away.
they go away. So buy the stuff now. That's what I was
They go
told.
away by when?
The end of the year, by the end of the school year. Because from what that's what I was told. And so I figured I would tell you all in case you were saving your points for a bulk sale that's never going to happen. So
7 p.m. on Saturday, May 13th.
that's when you lose all your points that you have not spent. Sorry. All right. Anybody else have anything else before we adjourn and head out for the evening? Let you all out early. All right, sounds good, guys. We got some more chicken and mozzarella sticks and
When's the last day?
Sunday, May 13th.